Yo, so the GTA games are notoriously violent, right? But a lot of us by now, I think mostly agreed that violence in video games don't really matter. It's probably not going to turn many people into murderous psychos.
The dopamine release I get when I murder people virtually is only exceeded when I murder people non-virtually.
But I just saw a video by Alex O'Connor called The Ethics of GTA, and he posed an interesting question I've never really thought about.
I want you to imagine that GTA 6 comes out, and they've introduced a new ability for the playable characters. Now, as well as running, jumping, punching, and shooting, you can also, by pressing a button, commit sexual violence against NPCs. It would probably be immediately banned, and if it wasn't, the protests would be unprecedented.
But why? Okay, so if you were able to grab a pedestrian, bend them over, and start going to town on their ass, I don't know, that doesn't feel right? It feels icky, it feels unethical, but I can kill thousands of people in the game and feel nothing. I mean, there is something fun and even funny at times about killing people in video games. The same doesn't seem to be true about sexual stuff. But what's the difference? Like, they're both heinous acts, so why do I feel weird about it being in a game? This stumped me. The only maybe meaningful difference I could conjure up between the two is that regular violence has an actual utility. You know, a good person might kill someone, like in self-defense, whereas you can't rape someone in self-defense, right? So as categories of violence, we tend to feel differently about sexual stuff. But that doesn't really matter for these games, especially a game like GTA. Most people just go around like murdering willy-nilly. I guess something else is that as a purely mechanical thing, violence in games can be fun. Like, it's fun to aim a crosshair and shoot it at someone. But I think a lot of people enjoyed the violence as an end to itself, regardless of the mechanics, because it is extreme, it's cathartic, it's an outlet.
As video games writer David Jenkins put it for the Metro, the whole point is that a video game allows you to indulge in acts you would never do in real life.
And I don't think enjoying it in that way makes you a bad person. It is a game, it's fake. So again, why do I feel different when it's sexual? And the answer is, I actually probably don't. I could probably get used to it, and maybe quicker than I initially thought. Hell, I've always loved teabagging in games, and that's just dipping my character's balls onto the corpse of my slain enemy, right? It's cartoony, but it's basically in the same ballpark. I think sexual violence tends to be like a very sensitive, often very personal kind of issue for people, especially women. But I mean, people have also faced like general physical violence or lived in impoverished areas or faced all sorts of hardships. Should those things not be depicted in media? Should they not be made light of? I don't know. I think that can be fine. As long as there is a clear separation of like, okay, this is fake, this is real life, which we seem to be able to do for like regular old violence, shootings and stuff. I think Alex nailed this at the end of his video.
If you want my view, I think people are just used to some things and not to others. We're just used to seeing certain kinds of violence in video games now, and so it's difficult to be morally shocked by it. And I think people are just basing what they consider to be permissible on how they emotionally feel about what's in front of them.
Yup. If it were implemented and slowly other games did the same thing and all the protests and all the cries from people died down, I think we'd just get used to it. I doubt there will be like any real world harm from this. It's funny, I vividly remember my mom watching me play Halo 3 and yelling at me in disgust as I shot like a brute shot at an enemy and then meleeed them to death. She was appalled that I was so nonchalantly playing and doing something so violent. And Halo 3 was like the least violent shooter around. I mean, half the guns in the game literally went pew pew pew. And yet, she was disgusted because this was new to her. Hey, maybe in future GTA games, you'll be allowed to kill kids as well. Who knows? Oh, as a side note, I hate the category of women and children that people cite when talking about like victims of war. Okay, that's literally just bigoted against my kind, okay? Adult males. I mean, kids is a special category, I understand, because they're so innocent and helpless. But women? Come on, get out of here. Yeah, just something I was thinking about. Go check out Alex's full video. It's really good. He goes over a lot of different arguments. I actually think I might disagree with some of his conclusions. But yeah, if GTA did come out with a sexual assault button, I don't know, I might not care.
I never liked you niggas. Who knew one day I'd be just like you niggas?